Remember when I said I was pretty much done doing Drunk Linux user videos for a while? I lied. Welcome to the Drunk Linux User. I'm Len. I am the Drunk Linux User. And it's really funny because sometimes you can go for a week or so and there's just nothing going on in the Linux world. I mean, not a big thing. There's no major release that's come out. There's no great new big whiz-bang technology that's being introduced or some new gaming feature that maybe Linux never had before, and all of a sudden, boom, it's out there. Well, that's been the last week or so for sure. There hasn't been anything. There have been some releases of other distributions, and I'm sure for those users, those are very noteworthy. And I don't mean to denigrate that whatsoever, but it was not exactly what you would call a rip-roaring series of events that has happened, except for one that kind of snuck in under the wire. It's gotten a little attention, and it's sort of like it's only gotten a little attention. And what I'm talking about is how even one content provider can question their decisions that they've made based on information that can come out the very next day almost. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this article from It's Foss News. I don't mean this in any disrespect. I'm hoping I'm saying this right. Ankush Das is the name of the writer, the author. 8 reasons why I keep coming back to Firefox. And though I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the reasons behind it, there are some that I actually do. And I do wish that Mozilla was very, very interested in providing a great experience for their users, and I also wish that they just kind of keep their nose out of other businesses' practices as well. But this article, he goes into some very, 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 very well thought out ideas regarding why he keeps coming back, and one of them is number 7 is it just works, which is an important thing. I mean, if you've got something that works for you, this is awesome. So this is the article, and it's like I said, Ankush has done a really nice job of making his point. So let's take a look at the date on that, and that was on February 12th, not that long ago, really. And then on the 16th, something changed. Well, actually, it changed before the 16th, but I think it took Ankush just a little bit of time to do some research and figure this out. Now, I'm not claiming to be an expert in this by any stretch of the imagination, but I've read different articles and a lot of comments from people who are pretty much echoing this sentiment. But Mozilla and Meta, or Facebook, are now working together. Now, if that doesn't scream potential privacy issues, I don't know what does. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to work on a privacy-friendly advertising ecosystem. It sounds like word salad to me. It just kind of sounds like, we're going to still get your information, but we're going to do it a lot more safer this time around. And I'm sorry, even though I may live in the great state of Florida, I do not want to buy any swampland. I know what it looks like, and I know what lives in it, and I'm not going to get bitten by it, whether it's a little sting or a big chomp, okay? I do not trust the powers that are going on here to create this new blending of technologies and resources. And so one of the things that people probably don't know is that Mozilla is actually funded heavily by Google. So if you have a browser that's being heavily influenced by donations from a big company that also has some privacy concerns, and then you bring in something like Meta, Facebook, and they're not exactly well known for being privacy friendly either. It kind of makes it look like Mozilla's kind of selling out, and it's pretty much about the money. They're looking at advertising along with Facebook. And Facebook, I mean, you can just go from one place to another, and Facebook likes to track you along. That's why there are certain tools out there to stop tracking. Just makes it harder and harder for you as an individual to have a little peace and privacy all your own. And as he says, Mozilla, what are you hiding? I'm not stirring up controversy or a wild theory, but it does not look good. And there was a key comment that was listed somewhere down here before. Mozilla and Facebook, that is a bad combination. There's another person here who brings up the Google, funded by Google and in bed with Facebook. Firefox has just become the browser to avoid. And that is a perception that a lot of people are going to have when it comes to the Mozilla browser. So those people who are using Firefox thinking that it's going to be their privacy browser of choice are probably going to start looking for alternatives now. There are others. Brave, of course, is one that comes to mind and the one I use mostly. Vivaldi is working very diligently to become a very secure browser as well. There are just aspects of Vivaldi that don't work for me, so I don't usually, but that doesn't mean it's not a good browser. And a lot of people swear by it, so by all means, if you are a Vivaldi fan, good on you. I just think that this is a really, really sad state of affairs when it comes to something that nearly every, not all, but nearly every distribution uses Firefox as its primary browser when you load up so that you can get right on the internet. Is that going to change, do you think? Do you think Mozilla is going to sit back and say, well, let's see, public opinion, dollars from Facebook? What choice do you think they're going to make? I think they're going to go where the money goes. And I think that we are seeing the end of a once really, really good browser and company. Now there are spin-offs. There is another alternative, and one of them is called Pale Moon. And Pale Moon takes the latest from Mozilla, strips out all the crap, and makes it a more privacy-oriented browser. I've used Pale Moon. Pale Moon is very good. I don't use it often, but when I need to use a Firefox or a Mozilla-based Gecko engine, whatever, browser, this is what I'm using. Pale Moon's been touted as being really, really good by a number of different online sources as well. Be careful about using some of the other derivatives because apparently they have issues where the companies that have absorbed them may have some privacy issues as well. As you can see for Pale Moon, you can get it for Windows and you can get it for Linux desktop as well. And this kind of goes hand in hand with what I mentioned once before about using Betterbird, which I'll bring up right now for you. And Betterbird is Thunderbird without all the Mozilla crap in it. It works great. I mean, in fact, it actually works better than Thunderbird. It gives you the opportunity to actually use vertical viewing for your accounts as opposed to having it, all blocked and chopped up. So there are alternatives to Mozilla products, and as long as Mozilla doesn't lock their code up, these other developers are going to keep going with the latest version of Mozilla products with the Mozilla crap and cruft removed to make it more safe and secure for you. I don't even pretend to know all about what's being hooked into these programs and what these other companies are doing to take your information away. But I believe smart enough to be able to see that when there is a threat or a risk involved, it's time to start looking in a different direction. So if you don't want to use a Chromium-based browser and you don't want to use any of the other different email products for Linux, I would strongly suggest you take a look at Pale Moon, take a look at Betterbird if you want to use that type of system. It's kind of weird because I like Chromium-based browsers myself. That's why I'm using Brave, and I like the way that Brave works to try to, I mean, my God, the amount of settings that you go through is amazing when it comes to this kind of thing, as opposed to, you take a look at Firefox, it's okay, but whew, wow, safety, and if you want to go in here, you can get right down into some really nitty-gritty things when it comes to Brave. And I'm not saying that Pale Moon and all the others are deficient. I'm just saying that I like the way Brave actually does their work. So, as you may have noticed, this is a highly edited video, and a lot of that just has to do with the fact that I'm doing this on the fly. But I thought it was important enough to bring to people's attention. I may not have the highest subscriber base at this particular moment, but anything can change at any given moment as well. And if this video helps to keep people better informed, then I'm all for it. The Sci-Fi Analyst channel is still being worked on. I haven't given up on that. I am also in the process of getting trained for another position, so that is taking up a lot of my time as well. But regardless, as I promised once before, if I find something that I think is of value, I'll definitely bring it up. So I can tell you right now, Shotcut's going to be making my computer hum like a 747 engine going off, because I'm going to be doing a lot of editing on this thing. I just kept saying too much. And I haven't forgotten. I hope you haven't either. Let's recite our words of wisdom together. Don't drive drunk. Don't drink and drive. Don't go to eBay or Amazon all buzzed up, or use Microsoft Edge. I haven't forgotten. All buzzed up thinking you're going to buy the latest, greatest, and coolest stuff, because you know what? You're probably not. In the meantime, bottoms up. Later, dudes. If anything else comes up, I'll be right here.